there, but oh well, it's all good. So basically this entire song we're in the key of G, but it starts off on the 6th chord, and he's doing this cool thing where he's modulating between major and minor. So we start off playing this grip here. I first learned it like take your A minor chord and then add your pinky to it to get that 7th in it. But we're going to move this up to the 5th fret. So we've got 6, 6, 5, 7. And so when you play that and put an E in there, you've got an E6 type of chord because you have the C sharp in there. So you've got an E6 major kind of chord. And then we're going to scoot it up a minor 3rd. And now we've got an E minor 7. So we've got the B, E, G, and D. The D being the 7th, which makes it the E minor 7. So we've got this. Then we come back down and go E minor 7, then move it down to E minor 11. So you could call this a B minor chord, or B minor 7 chord if you wanted to. Because the song's starting with an E minor, and these are all E minor variations, I'm still thinking E minor. So to analyze it, we've got an F sharp, a B, a D, and an A. And an A is the melody note though, and so that's the 11 of E. So I thought this was cool, and it immediately grabbed my ear when I first heard it, because you're shifting the same shape all around, and it's serving multiple purposes. So that could be the first thing to take away from this is whenever you're looking at these chord shapes, take them for what they are, but then think, okay, how can I use them in different contexts with literally the same fingers? So that's your first part. The next part is a line of descending 2/5. So we have this. And what's going on here is we're playing just like a normal Freddie Green A minor chord across the 5th fret, but we're adding a 9 to it. So the 9 of A is B, and the way Barney grips it is like this, and then we grab our thumb and wrap it around there, and we've got an A minor 9 chord. And then he takes his pick and kind of comes up near the octave of it, right? And plays the harmonics. So if you get like a pinch harmonic, like take that same technique, but just apply it to the chord over the harmonics of it. 12 frets up. So we've got this A minor 7. So that's the 2 minor. Now we're going to go to the 5. Right here we've got a D7 with a flat 9 and a 13. And this is really cool because you're taking A minor chord that we all know, and then a D7 chord that we all know, and just playing and messing around at the top of it. So here's our A minor 9. Now the stuff that changes is we drop the G, the flat 7, to the F sharp. That's the 3rd of D. The C stays the same across the 5th fret, and then we bar our first finger across, and we've got the E flat. That's the flat 9 of D, and that stays the same. The B, and that's the 13. So really nice voice leading. It all kind of moves in just steps. And I think that's kind of one of these goals for chord melodies or chord solos is move in steps. And then you get nice voice leading. So we've got A minor 9, D with a flat 9 and the 13. And then we're gonna do the same exact thing moving down to G and C. So if you think 2 minor, 5, and then that's the 2 minor of G, C. So we'll go G minor 9, then our C7. So that's that first little part. So pretty self-explanatory, I think. 2/5, 2/5. Now we come to an A minor sharp 5, and then an A minor flat 5. So what he's doing is making this A minor bar, right? The normal chord, and we're adding that F. The F would be one step above E, so we'll call that a sharp 5 or flat 13. And then your flat 5, so just dropping the E to an E flat. So I'm sure you can analyze this a bunch of different ways. In my simplified mind, I'm just thinking we're messing around with the top melody notes of this chord. And the reason I think that is because the next chord is an A minor 11. And that has the melody note right there, the D. So what we're doing is F, E flat, D. And that's landing into a D7 flat 5. So here's your D7 chord, right? Now we're just replacing this low 5, the A, with an A flat. It's the flat 5. So to hear the kind of all that sound in context, once again, we could overcomplicate it, but let's just think about the voice leading here. We've got sharp 5, flat 5, A minor 11, D7 flat 5. And what's cool is those are all D7 altered, well, those two at least, tones. Which resolves us to G. So to hear that descending 2-5 intro in context with what we just did, let's back up and we'll go. Into our G major 7 here. So we got our next chord. So this is an E7 with some altered tones. I don't know how he came up with it. I'm assuming he was just messing around because this is not a chord grip that I think is a common one. But it's really cool and now you know it. So what we've got here is a D natural, that's our 7 of E. A G sharp, that's our 3rd. We've got a C sharp, that's our 13, and an F, our flat 9. So pretty scary sounding, but cool. So we've got that, and then we're going to drop it down to a flat 9 and a flat 13. So the only thing that's changing is the C sharp is dropping down to a C. So you could think of that as like the top part of a B flat 7 chord. Johnny Smith uses, yeah, definitely. So that's cool because it does function with the B flat 7 and there's some stuff there, but we won't get too far into that. So we've got that E7 altered, and then we've got that altered version of the E7, right? And then that's coming down to an A minor 7. So again, if you know your 2 5s, your 5 of 5 chords, it's just a big chain of resolving. So altered sounds moving into more normal, right? So your A minor. So going from the G, we have A minor with that D7 with the flat 9 and the 13. So again, 2 5. Now what's cool, instead of resolving down to the G here, we move up to an E minor. So just the relative minor. But we want to make it a little more interesting than just an E minor 7 chord. We're going to make it an E minor major 7. So we've got E and B, that's the 1 and 5. We got the major 7, the D sharp, and then the G, the minor 3rd. So that's what gives it that kind of sneaky sound, right? So E minor major 7, and that's going to resolve now to an A7 flat 9 with the 13 in it. So we've got So what he does is just to embellish it, just shift it up a whole step to a B and then right back down. So we've got, he lets his string open, and then we're going to come down to an A7, but we've got the suspended sound to it, so we've got the D in there, the 4, and then we've got the 13. That would be the F sharp. So we've got that sound, and then we're going to drop it down to just an A13. He did this, if you were tuning in last week, or the last session, he uses this change quite a bit, using that suspended sound down to just a 13. So that could be something you could steal and put into your own playing to kind of give it that flavor. So let me back up to the E minor major just to give you the context of it. Alright, now we're going to resolve to D. So that's A is the 5 of D. So we're going to move up here and play this fun chord. I'm running out of room on my guitar. So we're at just this basic D chord, right? But we're adding the 9, that's the E, the 13, and grabbing the bass note like Barney Kessel did quite a bit with the thumb. And then just kind of a little ornamentation surrounding the D note. I'm sorry. So what's going on here? We just went to the D, now we're coming up, playing an E minor 9. We talked about this kind of chord shape with the A minor and G minor earlier. And then we're coming down to an A minor 9. Then you can analyze that as a D13. So A minor, we've got C, G, A. Here's our A chord. And then D7. So just descending 2 5s. That resolves. And then D minor. So we've got the D minor on the top and then the flat 7 in the bass, right? So D minor 7, then dropping down to, you could call it a D minor 7 flat 5 if you want. To me, that's too much to think about. I'm still thinking a G chord right here, because this is the G chord I know so well, right? So then you got the C as well, so that's suspended sound. So we've got D minor, then a G, and we resolve to C major 7. So that's C, E, G with the B in top. So instead of this grip, it's that. So that whole segment one more time. There you go. Now this C comes down this grip. Most people know this as an F7 chord with the 9, the whole kind of Freddie Green or blues grip. But this is one of those chords that I mentioned in the beginning that I think it's a cool thing to learn from this song, is that it's used in a different function. We just went C major. This is acting as a C minor. Because again, I said the key of the song is in G. So our C is the 4 chord. There's our 4 minor. It's a common kind of resolution in jazz as well as pop music. All the Beatles hits, stuff like that. They've got a lot of that in there. The only difference with, instead of a 4 minor like so, we got the A in the bass to give us a C minor 6 sound. So that's a cool thing to kind of take away and use. Again, looking for those chords that can serve multiple functions. So C major, C minor. Now we do my favorite Barney Kessel lick of all time, or a variation on it, I should say. So we're taking this D and E flat, and we're dropping the D down in half steps. It's the intro to, let's see if I can, to Cry Me a River. So, like that. So we're going, and you can do some kind of rhythmic thing he does there. So we've got C major, C minor, sorry. Back to C minor. Resolve to the G. Because 4, 4 minor, 1. Now we make this type of altered chord. So again, there's a couple different ways we can analyze it. I would probably recommend let's take a look at it within the context of a C chord. So we've got your basic C7. Here's a flat 13, right? And then a 9. So we've got that. So I would call it a C9 flat 13. And then we're doing this little thing. Just coming back down to that A minor. And then we're resolving to a D. So again, it's a 2-5. Here's another Kesselism. Instead of playing a D7 altered chord, he takes the altered tones, so that's an F and an E flat, and makes chords off of them. So he puts a B flat chord off the F. This is really cool. And then for that E flat, he puts an A flat chord, and he just moves that in whole steps. So B flat to A flat, and then we just switch it, B flat to A flat. Now you got the D and the C. So you're taking notes, those are the altered notes, and building the chords off of them. And then you're taking the normal notes, D and C, the 1 flat 7, and continuing those chords. It's a cool little relationship that those chords have. So instead of just playing a D7, you can go Kesselism. Yeah. So let's back up a little bit and let me give you some more context here, because I get lost myself sometimes. So you got D. Here comes the C major, C minor. Then we have a G. There's C. Here's that D altered. And then in the recording, he comes back up to the F. You can just play the altered chord if you want. And then we play, excuse me. So that whole phrase, we've got a G9. So just take your normal G chord and replace the G in the bass with an A note. That's just a spread voicing for a G9. And then big low E. Now we're playing an E7 altered chord. And just moving it down in minor thirds. So in that context, we've got a D and a G sharp, so that's our flat 7 and our 3. A C sharp, that's our 13. And then an F, that's our flat 9. So he's grabbing, or I believe he's strumming, I grab him. But he's strumming the top 3, bottom 3, bottom 3, top 3, just alternating that down minor thirds. And that resolves to an A. Again, know your dominants and your subdominants. So we just went G, that's 1, a type of 6, that's E, 2, that's your A minor. And now we're about to do a 5. So we're taking this D chord, altering it. We've got a D7, flat 9, flat 5. Those are those two notes. And he just, I don't know exactly why, but he just kind of slides it up and then back down. It's kind of cool, a nice effect. So I kind of target this D right here, slide it, and then come right back down. So in context, we've got all right. So again, instead of resolving to the G, we're going to go to that E minor major 7. And then to your A7 flat 9, just a lot of the same stuff. Sorry. And then again, it's like the same phrase verbatim. Sus A7, then normal, then back up to this D. Now it changes a little bit. We're gonna go to a D minor, but add the 11. That's really high up here. What it is, D, A, C, 1, 5, 7, and then use your pinky and grab the G, and that's the 11. Really cool sounding chord. Then that moves down to a D minor 9, and then he likes doing this a lot, D minor 9 or a minor 9 chord to a 7 with a flat 9 in it. So we're going D minor 9, G7 flat 13. Lots of chords, lots of chords. So we've got okay. And then resolving that to a C, then a C minor. And this is the last part of the song. And then, so I really like this. It's a nice little cadence. We were playing A, B, C. So this chord, it's a B, F sharp, A, and D. So it's 9th fret, 11, 10, and 10. That's acting as a G major chord. The major 7 in it. So we're playing. So let me play faster. There we go. So G major, C. Then we're coming up. Again, C minor with that 13 in it. Then a full C minor chord. So. And then to a full G major. With that major 7 in it. Down to the G. C minor. C minor. Or if you want, F7, C minor, or sorry, what am I thinking? C minor, F7, either way. So we've got sliding it down to an E minor, flat 5. So what we got here is E minor chord. Take that D minor everyone knows and just shift it up 2 frets. Now put your... I'm sorry, it's not a flat 5 chord, it's a fully diminished. That was my fault. So E fully diminished, because we have the flat. So all minor thirds. E, G, B, or sorry, E, G, B flat, D flat. And then we're moving down to an A minor with the G in the bass. If you can reach it, it's tough. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. D7 flat 9, the A in the bass. So that's a cool. And then a G major chord, the sharp 9, that B flat. He does kind of a rhythmic thing on that. So let me play all that in context. This last part. So that is all of a Foggy day and all of the chords used. And I will post those chords here in a few minutes after this is done. But let's talk about some things we can do to kind of make all of this useful other than getting a lot of chord voicings. So I touched a little bit on the end of the last session, but experiment with all the big chords you know, the like fundamental basic chords. So for instance, because we're in the key of G, let's do this at G. I think I gave this example last time too. Just a normal G chord, right? G, B, D, G. Start taking one note from it and replacing it with as many notes as you can around it, and categorize it or catalog it in your head. as to what they are. So I think the first great example to this, let's just take the triad, it's a little easier to finger, and move this G up to an A. So what that is now is a G9. It's a totally different voicing than just a normal G. So take that. Now the next step that I would recommend doing is see if you can move that 9 up an octave, and we definitely can. So move back to home base, your G, add your 9 right there. So we've got two cool G9 chords now. We've got it in the bass, it in the melody. All right, so that's one. Now let's do the same thing, but instead of going up, let's go down. So let's take this G and move it down to an F sharp. Now we have a G major 7. We can do it the octave up, right? There's our F sharp. Now I have a G major 7 in the melody. Sorry, there's your 9s. Here's your major 7s. Pretty cool, right? Now let's take the same thing and move it on down farther. So we've got an E note next down. So now we've got a G6. It could also function as an E minor. But we've got the E, B, G, or D and G. Take the same thing, E, find the octave of it, your other G6 chord. It's pretty cool. You can move those all around. So we've got 9, major 7, G6. Super easy on guitar just to shift that. Don't have to do too much math. G9, regular, major 7, 6 if you got an open string, or more commonly, the 6 on the second string. So that's one way of doing it. Thank you. So let's do this though with a dominant 7 chord and get some altered tones. So take your D7 chord, right? A, C, F sharp, and D. Now I'm going to mainly use the top part of this chord, the blues chord we all know, right? So we've got F sharp, C, E, and A. Already that's a D9 because of the E, right? So the next thing we can do is flatten that 9. So really easy. E drops down, flat 9. Also a diminished chord. All right, let's go back to D9. So the next one, take your 5 and raise it up to your 6 or your 13. There you go. That is your D13, right? Now, just drop it a half step. There's your flat 13, or if you want to use this finger. Take it off, you're back at D9. So you got... All right. Now back to D9. Now let's do D9 flat 5. So I just take this off, rearrange my fingers a bit, and there's my flat 5. That's a bebop sound you hear quite a bit. So 13, flat 13, 5, flat 5. Suspended. Put the G in the top, right? Because that's the 4 or the 11. So doesn't involve too much work or too much math or anything like that. It's pretty just half steps, and you just got to know how it relates to the chord. All right. Let's do the same thing though now using the flat 9. So there's that flat 9 with 13, flat 9, flat 13, normal 5, flat 9, flat 5, then flat 9 with that 11 in there. It's kind of funky. And then the one, the Jimi Hendrix chord we all know and love. There's your D7 with the sharp 9. You can drop it like that, and drop it like that, and you're back. So that's what I would do with, will this be posted on your timeline? Yes, I'll share it, and I'll also put it on YouTube and make sure all the imaging is correct and whatnot, so you're not seeing a left-handed guitar or anything. So yeah, that's kind of the basis for that. And again, take all the seventh chords you know, and try and do that with each position. Let's take it one more time, just to get a few more sounds under your belt. Let's go back to G here, and let's make it a G7. Okay? So you've got F, B, D, and G, right? G, G7. So the first kind of standard sound I would do is add the 9. There's your G9, right? Next thing, flatten it. G flat 9. Then you're back at regular G. Alright, so those are kind of the ones I work around, and if you want, pinky, sharp 9. So really, all of your tones you're playing are up there on the first string. Alright, the next one, add that 13, the G7, the 13 in it, drop it and you get the flat 13, then normal again, aha, then flat 5, right? G7, drop that down, rearrange your fingers a little bit, there's your flat 5. So what you can do, a good practice is just take the shape, start with the highest one, how do I turn it around? I'm gonna figure that out. I'm not sure. I thought I flipped it around. It's right-handed on mine, but I'll figure that out later for you and flip it around. So we've got sharp 9, regular 9, flat 9, normal G7, 13, flat 13, 5, flat 5, and then kind of if you've been here the whole time, the Barney Kessel thing, he does that a lot. The 13 and the 4, and then drops it down just to get the suspended down to that kind of sound. So that's what I would do. Take all your chords and just do that with them. Major, dominant 7, and minor. That's your G minor. I'll do this quick. You got a G minor 9, normal G minor. You could voice a G minor 7 like that if you wanted to. The 13. You do a sharp 5, normal. You could do a flat 5 if you wanted to. Oh, okay, good. I'll post on how to. It's a weird little thing. And you could do a suspended, the C, normal, a 9 there, major 7 to get that minor major sound, and then a 6. It's quite infinite, but there are some standard ones just to mess around with, and then you can re-voice how you would like. So take that, apply it to all the big major chords you know, all the way around the neck, and do it slowly. Try and do it chromatically as you can. Some of it doesn't work out too well, or it sounds kind of pointless. Especially I think this G7 there, G13, that doesn't sound too good. But try, and that will really emphasize where all of those notes are. It'll get you to know the fretboard really well. It'll get you hearing those sounds so you can directly take these things and put it right into your lead playing. That's what's helped me the most, is if you want that 13 and the 9 sound, I now know how to get that when it comes to single notes. So have fun with that and learn this arrangement. Take all those chords, and I will post the chord charts here, as well as some other stuff. So tune in Monday, and I'll go over Barney Kessel's Embraceable You intro, and we'll go through that and talk more about how to apply stuff. Any questions, people watching? Take a few seconds if you got anything, especially on how to flip the camera. That's the real one. Who knows? But these are what the chord charts will look like. The little diagrams I made, and they're in sequential order. They're not note for or chord for chord, but it shows which comes first and continues on. And there's 2 charts, so I'll put those up, and then I'll have those for Embraceable You, and then Misty, and then some other ones that I've got worked up for you. So enjoy that. No questions, all good. I will see y'all later. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Really appreciate it. Oh, wait, I do. Do you have any tips on creating a line using those chords? Sure. Yeah, I'll do it real quick for you. So let's do a D7 to a G. The first one I learned is a Charlie Parker lick. It's really simple. You just take a D7 with a 13 in it, and the whole bebop, one of the big bebop sounds is the 13 to the flat 5. So you're essentially going D7 with 13, D7 with the flat 5. So take the arpeggio, F sharp, A, C, and then play the 9, the E, instead of the D. So we'll go 1. So it's a 1, a pickup 8th note, and then triplet. 1 and triplet. 1. Right? 1. You can land down in that G. 1. Again, you're just falling down into that G chord. That's a chromatic run that you'll hear those guys do a lot. So again, that little practice of just going, right, resolves really nicely to G. So why not do that with your single notes? You could just do something like that. You don't have to make it too fancy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Something of that sort. So there's your free lick. Take it and just move it down chromatically. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.